To all of you that have just joined us, welcome to Chewing the Accounting Fat, episode number 3. I have my good friend here, Jason Cunningham, as my co-host, and we have a very special guest here, Melissa David from Clyne Partners. Now, we're going to get straight into today. Oh, mind you, how are you, mate? I know we spoke a little bit about footy, but
yeah, I'm going well, PJ. It's good to be here. Good to be in your office, away from Zoom, and be able to see and touch and feel you to make sure you're a real person. I'm looking forward to today, actually. Mel's role is really intriguing to me, and what she's been able to do at Clyne Partners, I'm really keen to find out a whole lot more and maybe interrogate her a little bit.
And I think that's the great thing where we're going to come from, because knowing you, your firm here in Parkville, you've got 60 team members, you've worked hard on your brand and making sure that you can, we're going to talk a little bit about the internals and externals and the ability to make sure you get the internals right so that you can deliver a great service externally to bring on new clients. So I know you've worked really hard on that. Your name, your brand trust that you've got now. So you're going to come from a different angle, which is going to be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to save my questions until Mel gets a little bit nervous and somewhat apprehensive. No, I'm only joking, Mel. Bark's a little bit louder than the bite.
That's exactly right.
I'm fine. I'm used to bark. I work with accountants.
Yeah. True. So Mel, as our special guest, let's start with your title, because I think when I first came across your title as Head of Growth and Engagement, one of the key things that resonated with me is, and I've been in the industry for 22 years now, working with this guy, and not a lot of firms have a Head of Growth and Engagement. So tell us about that first.
Okay, so my title encompasses 3 different parts. I am the Head of Marketing, I am the Head of Business Development, and I support the HR. So those 3 things, I feel they go together, and especially for smaller firms that can't afford to have one person doing each of those, it's a really good title that kind of encompasses it all, including, outside of that, also systems. So I look at something, and if systems need to be updated, if the office needs to be updated, anything that has to do with growing the company to bring it to the next step is my job.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just growth as in new customers, it's growth of team members and new employees and growing the systems. So, okay, that's interesting, because share with everyone that's online today, how many team members are at Clyne Partners?
So we have 16 at the moment, and it's just a 16 team.
Because the reason I asked that question, Mel, is because there's this notion in small business that PJ taught me a long time ago called the desert. And the story of the desert is often businesses and accounting firms find themselves trapped inside the desert, where there's only 3 things that you can do in the desert. Now, before I get to that, the reason we get trapped is that we're too small to be big and too big to be small.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And so we get to this dichotomy of questions that go on to our head. Do we hire an IT guy? Do we get an HR guru? Do we hire a marketing person? What do we do? And when you get into the desert, there's only 3 things that can happen. You either stay in the desert and you die, you turn around and get the hell out of there, or you work like buggery and get through to the other side. And so I find it intriguing and interesting that a firm, and I say this respectfully, with only 16 team members, has a head of growth.
Agree.
But the growth is more than just new customers. It's across the board. Is that right?
Yeah, because they've reached a point where they're about to explode.
Yeah.
And they need support. They're ready for the next step. The product is good, the team is great, and they just need, the main partners are so busy now going in and out of board meetings.
Yeah.
And the head accountants don't have enough time to actually look at it from an outside point of view. And the most important thing that accounting firms can do is do that. Yeah. Because I have never met a group of people that are more busy than accountants.
Yeah, we are.
You are constantly never finishing what needs to be done.
Yeah, thanks for that. Just bring us back down to earth. No, and we don't mind telling you how busy we are.
We're the non-accountants.
But it's true. And so my first step is always look at your team and see what you need to do there. And most of the time is you need to hire more accountants. You need to hire a more diverse staff. If you've been listening to the same voices for the last 20 years, it's time to change the voices. It's time to bring in new blood. And that's where I start with first. And once you see that your staff is actually being supported, that maybe by Friday at 5 p.m., their to-do list isn't 15 deep, which I've never found in an accounting firm yet. And that's something that we're striving for.
I think one of the challenges for us in public practice is that there is a real shortage of skill set out there. I know I speak to a lot of other partners, and couple of weeks going to head down to Lorna and talk to a few guys down at the CPA conference, and no one can find anybody. Yep. So that's another problem that we'll address.
Yes.
But what I'm keen to know, Mel, is how did you get the job? I mean, I'm intrigued at the title, and I'm even more intrigued because I didn't know. As PJ will tell you, I'm not massive on the prep or the research for the show, but how did you get the job, and what's your experience? Because there'd be a lot of people listening like me thinking, hey, maybe I should hire a head of growth and engagement.
Yes. So, but first going back to the step of there's not enough skill set people out there, you need to get grads. You need to get grads. Clyne Partners has a fantastic program that we take grads and they stay with us.
Yeah.
We teach them ourselves, and so they know what we need to have done. And our longevity because of that with staff is incredible.
Yeah, right.
Because we get them right out of school.
Yeah.
And we teach them ourselves. We also give them 4 days off when they need to take a test. So when they need to take their CA test, we don't just say, oh, you can take that Tuesday off. We give them 4 paid days off.
Yeah, wow.
So you can actually study. And then yesterday, so Richie just finished.
CA was yesterday,
The CA was yesterday.
Yeah.
And he came back to the office and we had a cake. And we were like, yeah, let's go, Richie.
Well, Richie doesn't know yet because he sat the test yesterday. Hasn't got the results.
But
could be a preemptive cake there.
This is true, preemptive cake. But listen, I wanted cake, so I ordered chocolate. So that's how that goes. But getting grads from the very beginning and training them within your firm yourself is the best way to not only retain staff, but actually upgrade the skill set of people around you.
So have you guys aligned yourself with a certain university, or what's your grad recruitment process?
I search.
Yeah.
That's it. You
Search.
just find them. Grad fairs are great, always. Yeah. Grad fairs are great for talent if you want to do that. But specifically, I can just look. So, and also friends through schools and whatnot. So we just go to our favorite schools and then we see what the graduating class is like. And we interview a couple and we take on at least one a year and we grow from there. But that's the best way of finding people with skills, is actually giving them the skills yourself. Yeah. And then you know exactly that they have it under control because you're the one that taught them.
Can I just touch on that? Sorry, PJ.
No, that's good.
Can I just touch on that? So we have a graduate program in our organisation, and we've got 5 graduates at the moment.
That's fantastic.
It is, but a lot of our managers, senior managers, or associate directors get a bit frustrated because, as you mentioned, we're all really, really busy.
Yeah.
And so there's this trade-off between doing the work, engaging with the customer or the client, and then spending time training the grad. Now, how do you get the buy-in from your team to train the grad who's, wet behind the ears, come out of university? They're not even teaching zero at most of these universities,
So from day one, our grads are client-facing.
Yeah, right.
So they just attach themselves to a senior accountant or a partner, and they go with them.
And follow them around.
Yeah, they go with them and they help them do the BASs, they're doing the reports, they're doing the payroll, they're doing it with them.
Yeah, right,
so you just attach them, and so it doesn't take stress out of the managers or the partners because they're actually just doing their job, but they're doing their job with actually support and someone that's eager to be by their side. It also makes grads engage more if you immediately put them client facing. And that's something that our senior partner, Jansz Clyne, loves, is just bring us along, and they learn so much faster because they're actually watching the person do the job.
Yeah, so obviously James is making letting the client know, look, this is young Paul Jansz. He looks a bit older than most graduates, but he's young fella, and he's on the job training. And then the client, more times than not would respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, and because we've done it so much, our clients are quite
used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, the new one,
the rookie.
Yeah, the rookie. Except for Adelie, who's our new grad, and this last couple months has gotten a lot of. The second day she was on, she went to like a big board meeting.
Wow.
And they were like, you need to be ready. And she was like, oh God, okay.
And how would you guys deal with that in terms of what do you do with their time allocation?
What do you mean?
When the grad is in that meeting, how will they allocate their time?
Because us accountants, what PJ's trying to say is us accountants, we like to hit the timesheet.
Correct.
We want to bill for it and we want to recover their time.
Correct.
How do you guys deal with that?
Is that just put down to...
Are they chargeable time?
Training?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just...
So it's non-chargeable time as such.
Yeah.
We find that within a month, they're already doing the work.
Yeah, wow.
So within a month.
So you get that recovery quick.
Yeah. Within a month, the grad is usually already doing the payroll for the company. They're doing the BASIS for the company. But we also have a system. So when they're doing it, it filters through. So they're never, obviously, that's not going to the client.
Yeah.
The work that they're doing is going to the senior accountant to check, and then also going to the manager to double check. And then the work that goes out is perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just engaging. It's putting them in the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one because you just said engaging. So as a part, again, coming back to your title, growth and engagement. So there's different levels of engagement. Can we touch on, Mel, did you answer Jason's question?
No, she didn't. She refused to. So typical deflection strategy that's inherited from the down south. Yeah.
We might come back to that there.
Okay.
So
Or
in terms of, or not, key deliverables for you.
Yes.
So, you know, you mentioned the marketing side. I think you mentioned the business development side. So there's the sales side, let's call it. And then there's the HR side.
Yeah.
What are your key deliverables, again, for all the firms that are watching this, that are considering, you know, I know we spoke about, you got 16 team members. So you're not a large firm. You're not even half the size of Jason's firm.
Yeah.
What are some of your key deliverables?
Okay, so on the marketing aspect is obviously a campaign always happening. So delivering on that, and the partners don't really know what that means or how that goes. So I put together analytic reports to show them of the traffic that's coming in and out. Obviously, I show them the campaigns for probably the next 2 and how they go together. And then we have different campaigns for Instagram versus Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, because those are different audiences and you're focusing on different people. So if the partners see that traffic is happening every day, they can just go on their LinkedIn and they know that I'm delivering on that and delivering on the campaign.
So your campaign is social media based?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also this is also a part of it, as well as writing articles or getting my boss onto any type of television. He's known as Jimmy the Finance Guy and Reese Plumbing. So we just anywhere that I can put him.
Jason the Finance Guy as well.
Are you?
Well,
Not really.
Well, you were.
Yeah.
You were kicked off there, weren't you?
Oh,
sorry.
Jimmy the Finance Guy replaced me. No, I'm only joking.
So that's for that. Now for HR, obviously it's making sure that the team is supported at all times.
Yeah.
So like yesterday with the cake, with little touches like that of making people feel welcome.
Yeah.
We do free coffee every morning for our staff.
Yeah.
So they know if they show up on time and they're there for the coffee run, they're there for the coffee run.
Okay.
It makes our staff really punctual because coffee.
Yeah. So if you get there late, you don't get the free coffee.
Yeah. If you get there late, you don't get the free coffee.
So someone from the office does a runner to get the coffee and get everyone's orders.
Yes.
And if you come in 1 minute late, no coffee for you.
Well, we have, yes.
Like the soup Nazi out of Seinfeld.
But I mean, there's a grace period there, but if you miss the coffee run, you miss the coffee run.
Yeah, right. Okay, interesting.
And also HR, it's my deliverables are people.
Yeah.
So I've hired 4 people so far for this company. So it's searching for them. Obviously, accountants are hard to find right now. So for every accountant I hire, I usually go through about 300 to 400 LinkedIn messages.
Gee whiz.
Just to find one. I mean, a couple of interviews in
To
there.
interview, that is,
Yeah, just a couple to interview and usually find one. But it's insane. So even the recruitment companies that we're working with at this moment are having a really difficult time finding accountants.
Yeah.
So in the HR world, it's that. It's also making their contracts, and that's my deliverables there. And then in business development, we have a great structure of, we don't want to work with people that we don't like. So I don't have a certain KPI that's like, you need to hit $200,000 worth of sales. You're out of here.
Yeah.
It's really like, find us good people that we want to work with.
Yeah.
And find us young companies that are thriving and need support. Because one thing that our company does well, one of our companies is zero latency. And so back in the day when they first started, James was like, I'll help you. They're like, hey, we need help. They were just in a garage.
Yeah.
And so he signed on all their papers for them, and we charged them basically nothing for the first year because we believe in things like that. And now they're turning over $15 million a year in the last, so that growth in 5 years, we've learned that if we invest in entrepreneurs and startups from the very beginning, and we help them for very little, then over time, each year we change our proposal to them. And a client that we charge $3,000 a year goes to sometimes $150,000 a year.
Fantastic. That's great.
But it's really important in the beginning to support them and treat them the same way that we treated our listed companies, is that we treat our Instagram startup candle company.
Yeah.
We treat them the same.
Mel, I'm just really intrigued, and I want to go back to the question I asked at the start where you deflected it magnificently. How long have you been working there? How did they find you? And what's your skill set? Because I'm listening to you talk and I go, I've got to go and find myself a Melissa. And I'm sure I'm not the only person.
Oh,
sorry?
I can find you 5.
Yeah.
Sprint them in from the US.
No. They're here.
They're here? So what's your background and how long have you been working there?
Okay, so I've been working there for about a year, and my background is different. So I have a different background. I come from the Silicon Valley, so technology was always around me. So from an early age, between MySpace and Facebook, my uncle worked for Apple and Microsoft, so technology was taught to us as children just as a second nature. I didn't actually know that it was a skill set until I moved out of Silicon Valley as I grew older. And then I was like, oh, I'm like, people don't know how to do this. Like, so that was natural. I used to be a professional actress, actually, in New York City. So I have a master's in Shakespeare and I have a bachelor's as a playwright. But I've been helping companies build social media and building usually transitions. When companies are in a point of transition, if I was in between a movie or a television or a musical, I would be plugged into a corporate environment and I would help them transition if they were transitioning offices or if they needed a jump start on their social media and their SEO and whatnot. I naturally have been doing that for about 12, 13 years. I also know what I don't know how to do. So I know when things need to be done and then I'm like, okay, we need to have this. And I'll build a format for it. But honestly, I'm a professor. I'm a student.
So you've got this thirst for learning, I guess.
Yeah.
What I find intriguing is that your skill set it's almost a dichotomy because if you take the typical HR people and culture manager, he or she brings a certain skill set. And then if you take somebody head of marketing and growth, they bring a different opposing skill set.
Yes.
I'm just intrigued that you have both skills to not only grow the organization and the client base, but also to grow the team members and the systems and processes. Like I'm sitting here going, I want you to come and work with us, right? Because that sounds like the perfect role for a lot of businesses. So if you look at me in the eyes and saying to me that you can find me 4 or 5, can I have one of them?
I need to train, obviously, and I built a manual of what my job is, because over time I'm putting pieces into it. But yeah, I'll find you one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm done here, PJ.
So we'll just open up Clyne recruitment.
But it's also really important to note that in HR, so I don't have a degree in that, and I know that. So I wrote the HR manual, the new one for our company, and then I sent it off to an HR consultant. And I said, can you look at this and make sure that this is okay?
Yeah, make sure it's legal. Yeah.
She's a lovely woman named Katrina, and she looked at it, she was like, you wrote a 58-page HR manual and you haven't done one before? And I was like, yeah, is this right? And she was like, it's pretty right. And I was like, okay, good. I was like, what's next? So everything that I do, I always make sure it's double checked by people who, like I have a marketing assistant now. So I'm able to design the campaigns, but I don't have a design degree. And so she does. And so I'm able to say, this is how I want it to go. These are the colors. These are some images. And then she actually does the nitty gritty of it.
So going back to my question that still is yet to be answered. No, I'm teasing. Did they advertise for a head of engagement and growth? Or did you go to them and say, hey, this is my skill set and this is what I can offer you?
So
great question.
James was having a meeting with a man named Michael Hutchins, who's one of our clients. And James was like, I need this, and I need this, and I need this right now, and I need this, and I'm tired, and I need someone to take on this part of this company. And Michael was like, I think I know the perfect person for you.
Wow.
And I had been managing office spaces. When I first moved to this country, I wanted to be a professor still and continue on educating in Shakespeare. But they were like, no, that my degree didn't mean anything here. And I had to go back and get another master's. And I have a 3-year master's and a 4-year bachelor's. And I was like, no,
that's enough.
That's enough for me. So I was like, all right, what do I do? I was like, I've been bouncing in and out of the corporate world. I'll slide back into that. And so I was managing office spaces, managing their virtual office spaces. And then I started managing their meeting rooms. And then I started, like, it just kept going. And Michael was one of the clients in there. And he walked in one day and he was like, oh, I I need to have some examples for my wife later today of properties I'm interested in because they're going to buy a house. And he was like, and I have no time. I said, Michael, don't worry about it. I said, you go do your day. And then I made him a binder. And I called all the body corporates. I gave him like spreadsheets on each one and the pricing and the area value and whatnot. And then at the end of the day, I handed him a binder and I said, this is for your wife. And he just looked at me with tears in his eyes. He was like, thank you.
Yeah.
And he went home with this binder. And because of that one instance, 2 years later, when he was sitting down with James, he was like, I know this person. And that teaches you that all it takes is one moment. And in your life, just plant lots of seeds of kindness and give things to people. And over time, that will always come back to you or not. And maybe you just did a good thing for that day and you felt good.
Yeah, it's a very good point. So you've been at Clyne Partners for how long?
Almost a year.
A year.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that, because what I'd like to delve into and to help everyone watching as well is where you started. So for example, you know, how did you start? When you talk about marketing, HR, what did you start with to rebuild what,
to be honest,
James
nothing. So there was no LinkedIn. Maybe there was, but there was nothing on it. There was no Instagram, there was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, there was no Google Maps location. There was just a blank slate. They had been hustling for about 13 years and creating a really great product, and they have great clientele and everything was solid, but their visuals from the outside
So you started with the visuals from the outside. It's not just having LinkedIn and Twitter and all of the socials, but you thought to yourself, what does this look like from an outside person's perspective, looking in? If someone was to research us, what would they find?
Yeah, and so you have to start from everything from just basics, like brochure. Do you have a brochure? Do you have something that if you're having a conversation with someone, you can just hand them and say, or send them with an email of like a 5-page basics. What does your website look like? What is the SEO score on your website? That is really, really important. And actually, what is your analytics? So who is looking at you is the next thing I would say. So I figured out who was looking at us. And then from there, I was able to design the image of what it should look like, because there's no point. I'll use the example. I like thinking of it. Okay. Honestly, it's like a pretty girl at the bar. Okay. So from afar, you see a pretty girl at the bar and you take time, or a pretty guy at the bar, either or. You take time looking at them, you make sure that they're cleaned up and, you know,
had a shower that day.
Yeah. And are they talking with people around them? Are they happy? Are they drinking too much? Like, what is the activity of that person from afar? And that's what social media is like for most accounting firms. You are not going to create jobs from that instance from social media, but you will create a visual where people will be looking at you. So when their friend says, because accounting's the most personal thing. Yeah. Honestly, people don't switch accountants unless their accountant died, their accountant really messed up, right? Or their accountant just disappeared, right? Those are the only 3 reasons that people switch. So when your friend says, hey, you know, that's a new accounting firm, and you're like, oh, I'm actually looking for one, that moment, you need to look good. Yeah. You need to look good from the outside.
And I guess also too for potential new team members that join your organisation, that's the other use of the website or the social media, is for people who want to check it out if they want to come and join and be part of the team.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's important as well.
I think we do that in any business nowadays. If someone says, oh, go and have a look at the professional partners, go and have a look at the practice. Nowadays, with our phones by our sides 24/7, we've got the ability to go into Google and say, hey, Siri, or hey, Google, find me the practice in Carlton, and bang, it pops up. And whether I like looking at that as a potential employer, or is Clyne Partners looking better? So it's an interesting one, isn't it?
It is. I actually looked at Clyne Partners earlier and wanted to apply for a job there. Now I definitely do.
Thank you. So that's
I did see the website. Because I said that there's 2 people with the same surname. I assume they're brothers that run the business. And I saw the amount of blogs that you have on your website. So no doubt that helps drive a lot of traffic from the limited knowledge that I have. Yeah. And it's at about 3%.
That's not bad. So that's pretty good for you, considering, you know, tech and you.
Yeah, I've got a car. I got my car being serviced. So I got another car. and I had to put in the parking thing, and I had come up with my old reg. I didn't know how to change it. I had to ring somebody. Yeah, so I'm not really strong in that area.
My question in general to accounting firms is, why are we treating it different? Why are we treating accounting firms and law firms different? I know they're archaic businesses, right? They've been around since the beginning of time. You've always needed a lawyer and you've always needed an accountant. But why do we treat it differently than we treat a marketing company? Why do we treat it why do we treat it differently than a lifestyle company? Why?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that question. And look, there are some nuances to the industry that we've got a code of ethics and a few other things that are important to us, but I think they've cast too much of a shadow across our typical practices. And I tend to agree that, in our organisation, we don't use the word client, we say customer, just to be different, really. But at the end of the day, they are our customers. Can I talk a little bit more about you, if that's okay?
All right.
And I'm keen, PJ touched on it earlier around the deliverables, and a lot of people that will be listening or watching the show, hearing what you're saying, and it sounds good. Right? I've got to tell you, it sounds awesome. Head of engagement with their team and buying cakes for the kid that did their CA exam and coffee runs and all that sort of stuff, and finding new team members to join the firm and helping us grow our business. But surely there was some KPIs or KRAs around what you produced, or did James just say, here, you've got full reign, go for it?
Honestly, full reign, but we are competitive as well. So,
yeah.
But I want to make sure that every interaction I have with people is not about that, because naturally it will come to fruition. There's no way that I can create this much traffic and not have something come to me.
Yeah.
And again, accounting is very difficult for sales. It is not an easy one. It's a very sensitive place to balance. So I currently have $150,000 worth of proposals out.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic.
Can I talk to that? So,
yeah.
Okay, so you just said that you've got $150,000 of proposals out. Are you the one that writes the proposals?
Yeah.
There you go. That's because too often us accountants, we write like accountants and we don't communicate that well. And I've often said to actually any business owner, when we communicate, we don't communicate that well. You should communicate in a language that your customer understands.
Yeah.
And when us accountants go and write stuff and we talk about Div 7A and contingent liabilities and all that sort of stuff, our clients are going, what the hell are you talking about, Jason?
Yep.
But when you communicate in a language that the customer understands and can relate to, you're going to get a better cut through in that engagement and get better connection.
It's also about the proposal needs to have modern technology. So currently we're switching over to a actual platform. So the proposal will be created, there'll be little videos within it as well, so it'll be more engaging, and they'll actually be able to sign and click specifically of what they want and don't want.
Yeah, right.
And then sign and send. And they can also put their credit card details in right then.
Yeah.
Because another major thing about accounting firms is that no one pays their accountant. So
yeah.
why is the accountant always the last person
to get paid?
Yeah.
get paid?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's something else that I see that's an issue, and my brain goes there and I go, okay, how can I fix
How do I
this?
fix this? Yeah.
And that's a part of my job. So on Friday, we have a meeting we're moving everything hopefully to practice ignition.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yes, and then we'll actually be able to track as the invoices go out, but also be able to collect payment method.
Yeah.
And because people, they get anxiety about paying their accountants, and then they get grumpy about paying their accountants. But if we totally take away that emotional aspect of it and just have it automatic, and then they also feel confident because they're like, I know it's taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's not only about what's written in the proposal, it's how easy it is for the client to re-engage it and get it done and pay it.
There's a piece in sales that's called reduce the pain point.
Yeah.
Which is what you're doing, is reduce the pain point,
Yeah.
reduce the friction, make it easy to engage. We've got now, our clients can BPay us, so we're BPay, which makes it easier.
Yep.
A lot of people are used to BPay now, and so, and I do find that important because we are often the last to get paid, but our clients still want to pay us because there's this inherent thing that maybe we've got this intel into the tax office, and if they don't pay us on time, we will, tip them in for an audit, which is not the case, although sometimes it is.
Not at all.
But yeah, so if you make it easier for the customer to pay.
And that's what technology's brought into it, whether it's practice ignition, whether it's a fee synergy, whether it's, there's so many tech platforms out there that allows you to, you're no longer sitting there writing a proposal. It's an automated system.
But Jansz, one of the big challenges for
But clients love it.
they do. But one of the big challenges for the accountants, we go back to what Mel told us earlier, and that was we're all busy, we've got no time. And this is why, with respect to Melissa, there are other Melissas out there, which you've mentioned, and you're going to get me one, which is great, and I appreciate that deal that we did on camera live. But also because, we can run around and say, oh, there's technology out there, just go out and get the technology. But that's 6 hours of research, finding out how to do it. Agree. But if you have a designated team member who often, and I'm just sharing my thoughts out loud, which sometimes is inherently dangerous. But what we do is we go, oh, how much is she going to cost, right? And we do, and us accountants, we think about the cost. But if you add up all the time that you've saved, is it David and James or what?
James and David.
James and David, or David and James. I don't mind that. I think David doesn't mind being called David and James. No, but if you add up all the time that you've saved those guys, which can then be converted into chargeable time for them, then it's more than going to pay for itself.
Correct. And it's how you. It's like anything though. I've coached you guys. It's the investment up front.
Yeah.
So it's not a cost.
No.
You've got to see it as an investment to then delivering 12 months, 24 months, 36 months down the track to what that will give back.
I know accountants like numbers, so let's really quickly. So in the HR world, I've saved us probably maybe $30,000. And that's recruitment fees.
Yeah.
So that's me actually just doing our own recruitment.
Yeah.
And that's also hiring an HR person, but we actually just have a consultant, right?
Yeah.
So that's $30,000 right there. Now, we've signed a couple of really, really big clients in the last 6 months. And it's because, obviously not my connection, I'm young. So I didn't go to footy with you when you were in high school, and most of business in Melbourne is done that way. But once that business is brought in, their team looks at the social media. They're looking at that. And because of the social media traffic that I've built, we were able to sign, the last client we signed was $120,000 annual bill. So far, I'm $140,000 in, even though I'm not. But
yeah. No,
I
it does.
personally don't put that on my commission. I'm like, oh, this is mine, because it's not. But
you know that you played a big contributing part to that. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
So the benefits of that are you can afford it.
Yeah.
But the first thing I would say to accountants before hiring me, you can fix a lot of your problems if you just hire maybe 1 or 2 more people.
Yeah.
Just hire 1 or 2 more people. Hire at least 1 more admin person.
Yeah.
Hire a temp admin person just to do your filing. I have never walked into a accounting firm office and there's not a pile of filing that needs to be done, because we do need to keep hard copies. I get it.
Yeah.
But like little things like that, just it'll help you. It'll help your stress level.
Yeah.
Especially during busy season when the accountants, we don't see you for 3 months, and I just give you water and food as you, you know.
Yes, as we're all racing towards our May 15 deadline.
Yeah.
Now, I want to raise a couple of comments that Mel raised as well with regards to, you spoke about a brochure, number one.
Yes. Number 2 is website.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. And you spoke about analytics and SEO scores, which interesting to know if you actually know what they are.
No, but my eyes glaze over.
Yeah, exactly. But this is good because this is about learning.
Yeah.
Talk about a brochure.
Okay.
Do you still feel that it's, considering we're in this tech space, is a hard printed brochure still something that is of value?
So don't print them out in bulk. So have it so you can have a PDF attachment for old school emails. I really would like to steer into the space of interactive brochures. So as it pops up, it just takes you to like a web page basically, and it has interactive and it kind of pops up. People really like that stimulant, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But yes, basics of having a brochure. You can pay somebody. Well, I designed ours, but then I knew that I don't have a degree in design. I knew this is how I wanted it. This is the copy that I wanted. That means the text. These are the images I wanted, and this is our branding guide. And then I gave it to a lovely man named Michael. And Michael, I gave him $800 because I got a deal because I had already made it.
Yes.
He
just tidied it up and made it aesthetically pleasing.
He just made it beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But that now, every single email, every single calendar invite I send out is just attached. Every single meeting I go to, I printed out double-sided safe paper because we're trying to go net zero, which is another part of growth.
Yeah.
And I print it out and I just have that meeting, and you hand them something that's tangible And if it's not on the fancy paper too, you can write on it.
Yeah.
Which is great. So always have the back page blank, and you leave a little personal note. You know, it was lovely to meet you today. I hope that you have a great year and that your
engagement.
It's
bringing in the word into an action to engaging with the person.
Yeah, but you don't need to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
No.
You just need to have something.
So that's music
tangible.
to the accountant's ears, not spending a lot of money.
Not spending a lot of money.
Tell me about the videos. You said that you're going to have interactive correspondence that includes videos. Yeah. So is there a reluctance for people to get on the camera, or are they? Yeah.
So it's an accounting firm.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of accountants. We just did my last campaign was Get Outside. So I was encouraging corporate people to get outside and let us worry about your finances. So I partnered with a company called Get Outside, which is great. And they take people on hikes. And so I'm going to take a group of accountants on a hike, and I'll do little videos. And so I would like to, when we have a client and they engage with us in a proposal, actually have an introduction video to their specific accountant. So it's like, hi, I'm this person.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
But specifically with the Get Outside, I'm going to make little videos. We're all going to bring ties. So we'll be in hiking gear wearing ties. A bunch of that'll be a joke.
Yeah.
A lot of the branding around accounting needs to be in the fun space because accounting is pretty, these are the numbers and these are the reports.
Yeah.
And accountants love dad jokes. So just lean into that a little bit and don't take yourself too seriously, because people want to work with people that feel like family.
Yeah.
They don't want to work with people that feel uptight. And so especially with the most sensitive thing to them, which is money in general, this is my life work. And I'm giving it to you to help me with. You need to feel like family. So.
Yeah. PJ told you I'm an accountant, right? You know, as you're bagging the crap out of our industry. No.
I'm not.
No, I'm teasing it.
One of the things that resonated, and I don't know if Manny's on the line, but if he is, I'll give him a shout out. It's a funny thing. I went and saw a firm out at Hyatt the other day, and the first thing Manny says to me is, I remember you. I said, oh, yeah. You remember me from 20 years ago. So we're talking about leaving something of engagement. Now, and it was funny, when I saw him, I've gone, yes, I do remember you. He goes, I remember you gave me this book. He went and got it. It's called The E-Myth.
Oh, yeah.
So back then,
GPL days.
Correct.
Yeah.
Still remembered that it was a level of engagement, wrote a little message in there. Like you can, it's a personalized message, and it helps to create that engagement. Like 20 years later, bang.
Did he crack the spine of the E-Myth as you read it or not?
That's always the challenge, I suppose.
What I specifically do, if I have a meeting with someone and their LinkedIn is not up to date, I help them.
Yeah.
So I send them a banner photo, or I give them notes, or I send them like who photographer to take a photo. I'll also make a new copy of their bio for them.
Yeah.
So
That's clever.
Yeah. So anytime I have a meeting with someone and their LinkedIn's not up to date, I say, it was so nice to meet you. I also specifically designed a banner photo just for you.
Yep.
So I'll go onto their website, I'll steal the logos, I'll look at their branding, and I'll create a banner.
Does this constitute a meeting? Does that mean you're going to update my LinkedIn profile?
Yeah. That's exactly what it means.
Okay.
And I've had so many people reach out to me afterwards and be like, Mel, thank you so much for taking the time and actually helping me and supporting me. People that I don't hire that make the top 2 or 3 list that aren't the number ones, I help them get jobs.
Oh, wow.
Like we hired a new admin girl, and the number 2 girl was fantastic as well. So I called my old work and I said, I have someone awesome for you. I'm going to send them over.
Wow.
Yeah.
And even if we don't hire someone, I make sure to help them, support them, write them a recommendation of why I think they're good. I, on their LinkedIn, clean it up for them. And if I see any jobs I think they'd be good for, I have a list on my desk of about 10, 15 people who are looking for jobs, and I will help them send them stuff.
Wow.
Oh, that's good.
That's cool. That's cool. So brochure's fantastic.
Yeah.
You spoke about SEO scores.
Yes.
And you spoke about website traffic.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because you know, being the owner of a firm here that's been around for how long? You sort of, Robbie, you've been around 20 years.
23 years.
Yeah. So great firm. I'd be surprised if he knows SEO scores with respect. SEO scores, and you know, there's probably a number of firms, even me to a certain degree. We've got other experts here at the professional partners that give us that. Is that right, Mahesh? So tell us a little bit about that, of where would firms go and find that out, and then you know, you've got a starting point to improve it.
This is difficult because accounting firms are like, oh, we built one 5 years ago. It's done. It's done. Every 3 to 5 years, you need to completely redo your website. Technology is going so quickly that you got to keep going. So I would always hire someone every 3 to 5 years to completely redo your website, the messaging. Most people's number one mistake with websites is they put too much text on your website people don't engage with. And you need to keep your message simple. People don't buy accounting firms by the services you do. They buy it from the feeling they get from when they see it. That's it. It's just about emotions. There's nothing else to do with, oh, but we do this, 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 and this. They don't care.
No.
They really don't care.
Just talking about emotions, do you do much work around the core values and the culture within your organisation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
James, who's the head, there's something about his energy that I'm trying to bottle because it's contagious. And everyone that works for him, they stay. They want to be a part of this excitement and this energy.
Yeah.
So I was watching your last episode about leadership and what that is, and how do you bottle that and make every single person in the office feel that way?
Yeah.
And I spoke with an incredible woman who focuses just in culture and leadership named Fiona Robertson. She wrote an incredible book called Rules of Belonging. If you are a leader in any accounting firm, it is a magic handbook of how to not just post things on the wall going, this is our values, like feel good, be happy, do work, but actually instill the values within yourself. Because at the end of the day, when we plug into a new culture, we take on the habits of the people around us, especially the leaders. So absolutely. And how do you do that? It's usually with kindness, attention, engagement, empowerment. Yeah.
We've been doing some work in our organisation with the leaders of our organisation. We have 5 shareholders and then 5 associate directors. And our current coach or mentor talks about the sense of belonging. And he said, and typically that's built on trust. And trust is broken down into sort of 3 different criteria: performance, trust, track record, trust, and connection. He talks a lot about connection. And he said, if you can create an organisation where there's a sense of belonging and you can remind your team members that they belong here, right, and they feel part of the team, then they will go the extra mile.
Well, that's the emotional connection,
isn't it? That's right,
And in the book of Rules of Belonging, because accountants are like, but where's the manual for this? Like, how do I, what's A, B, C, and D? Rules of that book, I promise you, is like, that is the book.
Okay, so what's the book called again?
Rules of Belonging by Fiona Robertson. She's not paying me to say this. She's not a sponsor, but she is someone who I think has and it's a small book too.
Yeah, that's good for us that borderline illiterate. Yeah. Is there an audio book?
Probably could be on whatever we're listening to at the moment.
Right? No, I have no idea.
Booktopia or whatever they
What's next?
I just want to give a quick shout out. One of the things I didn't say at the start to all of our listeners, I've got the iPad in front of me. There are questions coming through. If you do have a question for Jason, you have more importantly a question for Mel, please send them through. I'm going to jump to some questions in a minute because they are coming through. So let me get to that before I cover off a few more of my own.
But the answer to the website question is update your website.
Yeah.
Because you need to have a Twitter, you need to have an Instagram, you need to have a Facebook. And you're going to say, but I don't have a lot of traffic on that. But that doesn't matter because that will help your SEO score. That will help the main page of Google. When they search for you, the first 8 things are your company. But then when you go to Twitter, the one link that's there is your website. When you go to Instagram, there's a thing called Linktree, which is really important. It's a great tool that you can put multiple links within your Instagram, but that link carries you to your website.
Right.
So Facebook to your website, Google Maps to your website. Everything is a tunnel that leads to this one place. So spend time and money, about $3,000 to $5,000 a year. Just upgrade it, make it pretty, and make sure that the messaging of what your brand is and who you are, and the people within the company as well. Because people connect with people. So they actually see the faces of the people that are going to help them, which is why I think the videos will help.
Yes.
That's what they want to see.
Yeah.
They don't want to see like pretty stock images of people having a good time in an office. They actually want to see
the real people.
People.
And the real people.
Yeah. It's true. People connect.
There's a guy
we tend to lose that little bit of. So true.
There's a guy out of the UK that reached out to me once, and he's an accounting firm. He runs an accounting firm, and his name's something like Ashton or something like that. Anyway, he's got these cool little videos that he does that, you know, you speak about with the client engagement. So the first client, when you're a new client of his firm and you're coming for the first meeting, he sends you a video that says, hey, it's James. Just letting you know, this is where, and he's got the camera here, and he walks out, he goes, now this is our door here, and we're on level 3. You come up and you'll meet Margaret. Look at, hey, Margaret, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. You'll sit here, you'll wait. And they give them that new client experience on video.
That's pretty engaging, isn't it?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I reckon it's really cool.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then, you know, you were mentioning about you're going to do videos and these are your team members. He's got then another video. It's very similar. And I thought that removes any apprehension, because we've also got to remember that us accountants, we do this work every day, all day, every day. So we're putting together a set of financial statements, and we're looking at cash flow, and we're looking at forecasting. And sometimes we do take our role for granted, when in actual fact, you get someone like Melissa, who's outside of the industry, who then reminds us that we're talking about one of the most important things in our clients' world, which is their money and their current asset position.
Yeah.
And there is some anxiety that can be attached to that, particularly when the meeting is a first up, or a meeting with a new advisor or a new accountant. So, yeah, hats off to you. I think it's pretty cool.
I agree. And I think even the way we're moving, I'll ask you this and get to some questions. Sorry, I do need to get some questions. You mentioned Instagram before. What advice could you give to firms that are considering, do you have an Instagram account? As in, I know you've got a personal one, but do you have a work one?
I'm not sure. I think the answer is no.
Okay. Because what would a firm post? Because it is more of visual. It's more of a, I don't know, people may see it as more of a, where influencers hang out, and you know, it's that's what it's used for. And I'm going to talk to you about TikTok in a sec as well.
Yeah, okay.
So Instagram first?
Okay, Instagram. So most small businesses are only on Instagram. And in the last year, the amount of Instagram businesses has exploded.
You're right.
There is a massive market for people to engage, accountants to engage with companies on Instagram.
Really?
Also, Instagrams are usually connected to the people that are near the head of the company. So even if they have like a social media person, the person in charge also is curious of what's happening. And so if you send a direct message on Instagram, it usually makes it to the CEO of that company. Number one. So you have to do different campaigns. So there's a difference between story campaigns and the main page campaigns.
Yes.
Now, story campaigns have fun, only post 5 minimum a day.
What?
So so stories, you need to post 5 a day. Usually they're all the same image, maybe with different text. So currently we just also started a news story as well. So we have 6.
Yeah.
So we have 5, and usually we make fun of ourselves as well. So we're like, currently our campaign is top 12 business tips. Now these are the top 12 business tips that I have decided that businesses needed. This is not anything official.
Yeah.
But yesterday a business tip was having good bookkeeping, right? And it's a guy with like, and the papers are flying everywhere. And so in the stories, we talk about bookkeeping, which is very accounting. And then also in the last one, I'm like, also, how cool is this photo?
Yeah.
Right. And you actually just make fun of yourself within it. So that's story life.
Yes.
And then my other favorite stories was something that we always say is we're open 24 hours a day, right? You have a financial emergency at 2 a.m., we're there for you. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I know.
And so I made a 24-piece story with my marketing assistant. That's like 1 a.m., no problem. 2 a.m., 2 a.m., we're like Dwayne Johnson. We're in the gym already. Call us.
The Rock.
It goes all the way to like 6 p.m., like just putting some shrimps on the Barbie. And then the next one is 7 p.m. I gave the kids too much pavlova. Sorry if they're noisy. But creating fun around the same messaging that you already have, stories. Then campaign, treat it like a lifestyle. So you have to fluctuate between making people feel something and then also giving them information.
Yeah.
So we did a net zero campaign. We did a getting back to work campaign, which is one of my favorite ones. Like, did you forget where you work? And there's like a woman that's like looking like this. Like, are yoga pants okay in the office? But making it clean, making the branding really nice. But then also having it all connected. So if you look at my Instagram, it goes, every piece is connected. Every campaign, the colors kind of fluctuate to each other. It's one giant card.
Yeah, that's the artist in you coming out, isn't it?
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely.
I'm going to save TikTok for a second.
Okay.
I'm going to take some questions.
Let's go.
And first of all, I want to just a quick shout out. We've got firms joining us from the US, from Singapore, from New Zealand, We're now reaching far and wide. So thank you very much for joining us again. If you've got questions, throw them into the Q&A because they're coming through thick and fast.
Just quickly, that doesn't cost a lot of money.
Yes.
It doesn't cost a lot of money to do that. I use Canva. It's a free place. So, and a marketing assistant, I have one person that supports me, and that's it. We run an entire firm of marketing.
Yeah, right.
So that doesn't, people are like, oh, but I can't afford that. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Good. We'll come to that. First one is, and I'm going to go in the order here because it's very good. One of the great webinars we've watched. Thank you very much. Question to Melissa, pertaining to website.
Yeah.
Which one do you think is crucial? Content, look, and or feel?
All three. And just going through website one more time, it depends. Don't get WordPress. No offense to WordPress. Love WordPress. You're fantastic. But it's not user-friendly for someone who doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
So let's say you have it built for you, but you don't have someone to maintain it. Then you're constantly going, oh God, what do I do? So something that's more of a Wix or a Squarespace or a Weebly that's more user-friendly, that you yourself can actually watch a YouTube video and learn how to do it. Like, use the easier formats. If you obviously, of your company, you could actually hire someone to do the next level. But having control of your own design is really important.
Yeah.
So use the easier tools. You don't need to go crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. But all three.
Good. Question to Melissa.
Yeah.
Can you tell us any tips on how to focus on the inside before marketing the outside? And they're saying they enjoyed the podcast, by the way. So thank you for listening to Talking Numbers as well.
Yeah. So the inside, first off, is the number one thing accountants always say is I'm tired and they're not leaving on time.
Yeah.
And so make sure that your staff leaves on time. Accountants always stay later, so give them that time in the morning to get there. Don't be crazy if they're not there at 8:30.
Yeah.
Give them that fluctuation between 8:30 and 9 to get to and trust them. Because you know that accountants usually stay till about 6, sometimes 7. If we're in busy season, they're at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
If someone says they need to work from home, you say, absolutely, you do that. If someone has children, especially now, you will lose staff if you don't have a flexible arrangement, because people were able to work from home and spend time with their kids and pick them up from school and come back and continue working.
Yeah, that's right.
That was everything.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing so many parents that they're changing to different firms because they're not getting the same support that they did in the last year. So the first thing is flexible work environment, trust and timing. Accountants always work more than 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
So that, and then also pay them well. Pay them well, pay them above market rate. Because I promise you, there are other firms right now, everyone's looking for an accountant, you will lose them. So you need to make sure that you're paying them above market rate. Creating cultural fun events. So we're going hiking all together. If we reached a certain billings goal 2 months ago, we said, we're gonna take you to Attica. And we did. We reached a billings goal. And so some 22, 24-year-old graduates were able to like go to this experience.
Excuse me, ignorance, what's Attica?
Have you been to Attica?
No.
So it's one of the top restaurants in the entire world.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
Is
it's
it
a
Melbourne?
4 hours experience.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour experience.
Garden
And
Vale.
you eat everything from like ants, and then you're in the backyard and they had this
Kangaroo.
Italian ice cream exhibit.
Yeah, right.
And
Cool.
So creating memories with staff
Yeah.
like that.
Again, it's an experience.
Yeah.
Because there's a 6-month wait.
Yeah.
So when you can do that, it's important.
And if the team's been working hard every Friday, we order food. We just order food in. So treating that doesn't cost you that much money. By doing that extra little amount, the coffee run in the morning, the flexibility.
Let's say you're a
coming
multi-partner firm or more than one person running the business, and one partner thinks that's a great idea and the other partner doesn't. What tools have you got to convince a partner that spending money on experiences and food and all that sort of stuff is going to be valuable?
Basically, you look at a firm that does it and a firm that doesn't do it. And then you actually show them a report and you say, okay, a report from the Harvard Business Review that they did recently shows that working in the office 2 to 3 days is important. It's actually important for us to engage within the office because that's where creativity happens and that's where those hallway conversation happens.
Yes.
But make sure that I will get back to that, but make sure that environment, there's a purpose for them being there. So you actually are creating the meetings that everyone's together. Because if they're just coming and opening a laptop and sitting in a corner and doing accounting work all day, they can do that at home.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
collaborative.
it's proven that productivity goes up 20% by having 1 or 2 flexi days. Having 1 or 2 flexi days where no one's bothering you, you can just wake up, you get dressed, you turn on your laptop, increases your productivity for your business by 20%. So it's making sure that the in-office is engaged, which is with coffee and which is with morning meetings of everyone actually standing in a circle and saying what we're doing for that day, and having meetings all day long with each other, checking in on projects and what's happening, but showing one partner saying, this is what it looks like this. And you can actually see the result if you don't, because you lose staff. What is your turnover?
Yes, I was going to say retention.
Retention.
Yeah.
You lose staff. What kind of the quality of work that's going out the door? These are all things that you have to look at.
Yeah.
And there's some great tools out there as well that are now measuring engagement, well-being. So there's a lot of firms now, or a lot of businesses that are coming or pulsing their team members as well.
Yeah, but if you don't do it, you will lose staff.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because there's so many other firms that are like, oh please, I would love to have you. You can work wherever you want to. Just
Shout out to Pat Thatcher. How are you, mate? Hope you're well. He's asked, can the role, this is a really good question actually, can the role of head and growth of engagement, I think I've said that, head of growth and engagement, be shared by the partners, or is it specifically more beneficial to have a separate person within the business?
You need to have a separate person because partners are really, really, really busy. By the time you reach partner, you're insanely busy. Not only are you usually still doing the work of a senior accountant, you're also doing business development on your own naturally, as well as sitting on boards, approving things. Like there's a leak in the office and you're just looking at it, you're like, I can't even think about that right now.
Yeah.
That's a really good question, because I reckon pretty much everyone online was thinking that, because I know I was.
Correct. Can I do that role?
Your brains, because you are partners, you're like, I can do it. I can do it, right? You always say this, all the partners. Every partner I've ever met is like, I can do it. I'll record that for you by tomorrow. And I'm like, like it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. And I guess what you're sort of saying, they're going to do it by osmosis anyway. So, if you have a dedicated team member who is not a partner, who's running the point on it, then it's nothing stopping the other partners not trying to grow the business. Of course, they're going to do that. They do that naturally.
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
It's a really good question.
But it's also important that accountants don't put boundaries on the person that is the head of growth and engagement, because my job fluctuates by week.
Yeah.
So we need a new senior accountant. I have to shut down everything else basically and just focus on HR.
Yeah.
I have to search for someone, and for that week, I'm not going to send out any proposals.
Yeah.
Unless a random thing comes in. Obviously, I'm engaged and I'm there. But if you say you have to get $10,000 a week and this is your thing, or we're going to have a talking to, it's like, well, I've just messaged over 400 people on LinkedIn trying to find you a senior accountant. Like I'm not here.
Yeah.
So giving them the freedom to do what needs to be done.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So like we were looking for
Trust
a new
and autonomy.
office, and I spent a good chunk of time finding a new office, getting a fit out for it. What exactly was going to look like. Here's the quote, here's the money, here's what you need to borrow. If you want to buy it, if you want to rent it, here are your options.
Yeah.
But that's that part of the job. And then now the HR right now at the moment is kind of settled.
Yes.
I'm fully into the business development. So I'm running a real estate campaign where I'm specifically just reaching out to real estate agents. I've made a specific website page just for them, a specific brochure just for them. I'm engaging with real estate agents, asking how to connect with them.
Okay.
And that's what I'm focusing on right now. And then next will be doctors. Anyways, so now I'm here. But at any point when they're like, okay, we need to hire more people, I'll be like, oh, cool. So pause that, I'm over here. Or if I need to fix something, or if someone needs something, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely it does.
Just kind of slide around. Thank God for a marketing assistant, by the way. So the marketing is continuing.
Yeah.
And I spent a whole week just designing the next 3 months.
Your marketing assistant, is that person virtual, or are they in the office?
They're virtual.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Good
they're
question.
constantly on a little camera.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you're going with that. It looked very much like a claw.
They're on a camera, and sometimes I leave her places, and then she's like, Mel, and like, she's in the coffee room, and then someone's like, Mel, you left Denise in the coffee room. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, I'm sorry, Denise. Like, how you doing?
Good. Patrick's also asked the question here: is Instagram better than LinkedIn, or the reverse, or is it?
It's two different markets.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But it's really important to LinkedIn share articles.
Yeah.
Write articles. Have your partners write articles. Write what the budget.
What's the most engaging platform do you find?
For us?
Yeah.
I would say Instagram at this moment, but that's because I've been pumping traffic into it for a while now.
Yeah.
It's funny. We found in our organisation, we run a podcast in our business called Save My Business.
Yeah.
And in the month of January, which typically is a slow month because Father Christmas has come and Australia Day and all that sort of stuff, we had 380,000 impressions on Facebook. Yeah. And we found it for our customer base, Facebook is pretty prominent and really strong. I got 9,000 followers on LinkedIn, and nothing really happens for my LinkedIn, but I've found that Facebook is quite engaging, and I just only discovered Instagram about 3 months ago. So, and I
would say that LinkedIn is having a second win. So don't write it off. And it also raises your profile.
Yeah.
So if you have an Instagram and a Facebook, it's like, yay. But if you have a LinkedIn on top of that, it brings you to the next level. Like, we are very professional.
Have you done any musical theatre?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
But
not just the gesticulation's outstanding.
A lot.
But very important though. It's not just about having a page. You need to follow that up with content.
And inviting
engaged
connections,
content.
inviting connections.
Yeah.
Throwing events. Throwing events is really important. Sometimes it's not about the actual event. It's about that you threw one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is why it's so important to have someone else do it. I mean, it's overwhelming listening to all the amount of work you got to do, like stories or whatever, 5 stories, 6 stories a post. I was getting anxiety. But if you had somebody else that's dedicated and is actually good at it,
Now we're going to look to wrap up this soon because we've gone over time, and it's good. So hopefully stick with us. We've got a couple more questions. Here's one from Pat again. So this is an interesting one, whether or not, see if you answer it.
Okay.
Now that you convinced me on the role, what's a realistic salary for the role?
Okay, so entry level, build a commission base always for the actual signing of proposals.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's important.
Good.
And that will also keep you feel confident that you know that they could make more money if they sign things. So they're not just, like, I spent 12 hours making one post. And you're like, oh, great. That's so great. But are you ever going to write a proposal? I'm so scared. And I know that. So give them a commission base. But the base I would do, I could find younger people for you that could do it for a little cheaper.
Yes.
But he's like, yes, please. 80,000 is what I would say.
Okay.
As a base, as a low entry level.
Yeah.
Entry level. And then plus commission, so they can make up to about 20,000 a year in commission. But honestly, I could find you someone that could do the bare bones of what I do for 65, 70. Because there's so many people that are like me that have this creative but also admin brain. Yeah. But we're not accountants.
Yeah, I know. Well, but I'm just keen
challenge.
I'm just keen to talk to you as soon as it's over.
There's so many people in the social media and digital space that are looking for jobs.
Yeah.
And if you can teach them how to do basic sales and how to do proposals, just because I know how to do that only because I've done it for so long, that my skill set happens to have all those. But if they have that social media strength, teach them about brand, about who you are. And like James and I, for the first month, I was like, I don't know what accountants do. I was like, we need to actually sit down and you need to explain to me everything from PYG to your BASes to what is a GST, like what is the actual, what do you do?
Yeah.
And I studied that, and they'll study it like a book.
Yeah.
So teach them the product and then teach them basic sales. But if they have the social media, look for social media people.
Yeah.
And then teach them everything else.
Yeah, cool.
Well, plug it in.
And they can always call me if they need help.
Yeah, that's actually on camera and has been recorded, so I'll take that to the bank.
And if you ask anyone that knows me, I'm there. I help. Yeah.
That's cool. Last question.
Yeah.
Obviously you've been there 12 months.
Yeah.
You've achieved, it sounds like you've achieved a lot.
I feel like I have.
Yeah. So what's the next financial year as we're coming into good old 30 June? 1 July, 22 financial year. What's the next stage for Clyne Partners that you're going to be focusing on?
So the next stage is going from 2 partners to 4 partners and to increasing the total income from, I don't know, where we are now to about 4 million.
Yeah, fantastic.
And creating the infrastructure to make that easy and creating the infrastructure for the people so they want to work there, they're engaged, that they go home on Friday at 5 p.m. and they do not bring their laptops home.
Yeah. Whoa.
That's the goal, is to create that kind of environment that it's not only positive on the inside, but we're actually creating a lot of quality work on the outside.
That's very impressive.
I'm gonna double the firm.
Yeah, right.
And that's the goal that James has put out, and we're all like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Brilliant. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been awesome sitting here in our new little space.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Every single month, we've just gone a little bit deeper into our
I enjoyed that
space.
guy walking back and forth behind the cameras.
Yeah.
Hey, Mel, you were outstanding. Thank you for that. I really enjoyed today's conversation. I hope our audience enjoyed it as much as I did. And yeah, I get the opportunity to stick around and pinch Mel's ideas and pinch her ear. And
I'm sure you might getting a few more LinkedIn invitations soon. And then that's okay as well. So to all of you guys that joined us, thanks very much. Mel, thank you. Awesome content, awesome sharing, education, openness. It's something that I think our industry needs to be more open with, and try and find those sorts of people that can do this, especially if you really want to grow. If you want to grow your team, you want to focus on retention, which obviously clients love, comfortable engagement. I think it's awesome.
If I could say something too, PJ, I want a big shout out to James Clyne, if he's still on, for allowing Mel to join us.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things about our industry that I love the most is no one sitting here considers themselves the expert in the space that we operate in. But I think the more we share and help our industry, the more we help each other, the more we're actually helping ourselves. And, you know, there's that notion of the more you give, the more you get. And you sound like one of those people, Melissa, and you give freely. And I think that's a great quality. So thank you very much on behalf of everybody. I've really enjoyed it. I know that.
Beautiful. Thank you. To all of you guys that are watching, our next virtual lunch is with the head from CPA. Yeah, we've got Katie Waller back.
Oh, we love it.
Yeah, we've got Katie. And Katie's going to be talking about mental health. So in a couple of weeks' time, we know it's a big issue, especially for the accountants that are, you know, you've got to deal with clients that are in this space as well. So you'll get an invitation shortly to our session with Katie. It's on May 13. Hope you can join us. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Jace.
Thanks, PJ.
See you next time.
See you guys.